Hey guys, so Trump had a press conference a couple hours ago, and I wanted to give you guys an update on what happened and why I think it's potentially disastrous. So first of all, Dr. Fauci wasn't there. Uh-oh, that's a bad sign. When asked why the leading expert wasn't there to give us information about coronavirus, he said yeah, he's part of a task force doing task force-y things. Not a direct quote, but with Trump, you never know. Well, it turns out Pence is in the task force, and he was right behind him. And Dr. Birx is in the task force, and she was right next to Trump. So, nah, they didn't want Fauci there giving the actual information. When asked, does Dr. Fauci agree with your analysis, which I'm going to explain in a second, Trump said he doesn't not agree. Oh, Jesus Christ. All right. So, look, we're going to have the tape of the different relevant parts for you guys tomorrow on the live show, as we all do every day, 6 o'clock Eastern, tyt.com/live in that case, including tape of when Trump is asked if the First Lady's been tested. Oh, that pause. I got to show it to you tomorrow. That pause of like, yes. Oh, that's not true. Oh my God, he doesn't even know. Anyway, we'll show you that tape tomorrow. Always watch the live show at 6 o'clock Eastern, okay? tyt.com/live or youtube.com/tyt. Okay, so now let's get to the disastrous part. So the scientist isn't there anymore. Why? What does Trump want to do? Well, Trump is now talking about, well, after the so-called 15 days is over, that the government originally talked about, CDC talked about, which would be at March 30th. Let's get back to work. Maybe the healthy people can go back to work, and meaning the young people, etc. This stock market crash is lasting too long. It's going to affect the whole economy. It's going to affect unemployment, and then that affects my numbers, and I won't get reelected, right? So if you don't think that's the driving force for Donald Trump, you don't live on this planet. There's nothing I could say that would ever convince you of anything. So just move on with your life, okay? So now, why is that even counterproductive to his own goal? This is the important part. So he wants the economy to improve real quick, and a lot of people are focusing on, look at how immoral that is, that he's willing to risk lives to get the economy, and most importantly, the stock market, because that affects rich people the most, back in action, so that his chances of winning goes up. Okay, that's true, and it's an important moral calculus. And in essence, that's the Republicans' version of a death panel. They're saying, we're willing to let folks die as long as the stock market bounces back up. And in fact, Trump talked about it. He's like, there's a lot of. In fact, Trump talked about that. He said there's a lot of car crashes. So but we still let people drive cars. Well, that analogy is missing a lot of important components. First of all, if car crashes were contagious, we might want to take a month break from driving the car, depending on the situation, or be a lot more careful about it and drive it a lot less. Second of all, it makes it seem like, we let everybody drive and do whatever the hell they want. Not really. We don't let them drive 100 miles per hour because that makes car crashes more likely. We don't let them drink and drive because that makes car crashes far more likely. So in this case, the reason we're having people stay at home is not because it's fun. No one likes the destruction of the economy. I'm worried about our business. I'm very, very worried about it. I'm worried about our employees. I'm worried about keeping TYT alive. I'm keeping it real with you. That's why, our fundraising is more important than ever. tyt.com/go. But so it's not like that's not important. That's massively important. But people's lives are also important. And if you're saying I'm willing to sacrifice some lives, or maybe a lot of lives in this case, so that the economy can improve, well, that's in essence a death panel. Okay, an actual one. Okay, but now let's go to, believe it or not, the more important part of this, because even if you were willing to make that immoral calculation, it doesn't really matter because it's not going to help. It's going to hurt your overall goal. Because if people go back to work prematurely, instead of the viruses being contained within people's homes, the hospitals, etc., and the number of cases, if everybody was out and about, the number of cases would explode. So I don't know if you how much you've seen of the how contagious COVID-19 is, but you've got it can stay on surface for up to 3 days. So that makes it far more contagious than other viruses. It could stay inside your body and be dormant for 1 to 14 days. So you don't even know you're having it. You have it, and you're passing it around to folks left and right. The average there is actually 5 days. So that's a long time for people not to know that they have it, where they interact with other people, etc. And then its mortality rate appears to be significantly larger than even the flu. The flu's around under 1%. For people who get coronavirus, it appears the numbers are fluctuating, but as much as 3 to 4% that get it could die. So you add up that toxic stew, and that's why we have a situation that we have here. And now, if everybody was out and about, it would spread like a virus, but even more so than the viruses we're used to in the ways that I just explained, and it'd be totally out of control. And it was in places like Italy, in northern Italy, before they realized how bad the situation was and quarantined everyone. So now we already have that in some places in America. We've already had 427 deaths. We already have over 34,000 cases, and we have barely begun to test people. We have way more than 34,000 cases. It's just that nobody can get tests. Wait till the tests start to come in, as they are beginning to trickle in now, and more people are tested. Oh my God, it's going to turn out there's far more people that are sick than we even realize. I mean, look at Rand Paul, the senator. It was asymptomatic, means that he does not have any symptoms. He got tested because he's privileged elite, plus he has issues with his lungs, so if he gets it, it's worse for him. So, but it turns out, walking around perfectly healthy, it appears, boom, he has it, he's positive. And now the other Republicans or senators are worried that they spread it to them. Why? Because he didn't know he had it. It's asymptomatic, doesn't have symptoms, spread it. So you send people back to work, they're going to start, before the disease dies down, which is going to take a certain amount of time. We don't know if it's a month. Like 2 months is bad. It's really bad for the economy. And I hope it doesn't take any longer than, and I hope it doesn't take 2 months. But if you send them back prematurely, boom, 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 virus is bouncing around. And those folks are catching. And they're like, it's okay, they're young, and they can survive better. That's true, they can survive better. But they bring it back home to loved ones who are also then interact with people that are older, and the disease spreads further and causes more damage. Well, then you got to quarantine people again. Oh, no. And then if you panic and you send them back out too early, oh, no, the disease rages again. And then you got to quarantine them again, and on we go. If you can quash it in the beginning, well, then you're in the ball game. At least you got a fighter's chance, not only for us to recover health-wise, but for the economy to also recover after that. But if you set up a perpetual cycle of sending out folks out of their homes to get sick and to bring it back home, and do this over a course of God knows how many months, well, then the economy's never going to recover. So you're going to have more sick people, you're going to have more dead people, and you're going to ravage the economy way worse than you would have if you had contained it for a month. Again, I'm hoping max 2, right? So this is why it is deeply problematic to have a president that just doesn't know anything. So he's like, I gotta get the markets back up. I don't want the scientists. I don't want Dr. Fauci. You know what he said in the press conference? He said, well, if it was up to the doctors, they'd quarantine the whole world, and they'd have nobody go out for 2 years. No, that's not what they said at all. They're talking about 2 weeks to 2 months, and since this is new, they're not perfectly positive, and they are scientists by nature, are very, very cautious people by training, actually, and they don't spout off at the mouth until they know something, unlike President Trump. Oh, we got these 2 things, drugs, you put them together, the greatest thing that science has ever created, medicine's ever created. He said something along those lines, somebody takes it, they die. Oh, no. Fauci told you it was anecdotal evidence. Don't go saying that in front of everyone. But he said it, and then now someone has already died from it. And so that's why it's important to be careful. That's why it's important to have a smart, competent person as our president. But instead, we got this guy going around going, you got to get back to work. I got to get the markets back up. I got to get the markets back up. And it's not just him. So many of his donors, business community, Republicans, look, we've created a petri dish, if you will, of a party that doesn't care about facts. They think marketing and propaganda can overwhelm facts. And in politics, they often do. That's why Trump is president. But viruses are not politics. And and human organisms and how we react to viruses are non-negotiable. So you can't market your way out of this. You can't hype your way out of this. You can't do propaganda out of this. And so the entire Republican Party is built on, honestly, a load of crap. And they've been selling us that crap for a long time. And so-called journalists in this country have been calling it even. Well, there's the party who believes in science, and there's the party who doesn't believe in science. Gosh, I guess we'll never know who's right or who's wrong. No. I know. The party that believes in science is correct. But the problem is the other folks live among us. So they're going to go out because their cult leader told them to go out, and it's not a big deal. And then they're going to affect more people. And round we go. Oh, we told you that there'd be 1,000 reasons why it'd be dangerous to have someone like Trump as president. You know, you think of the natural and obvious ones, things like war. He could start a war too quickly, etc. I have been warning from day one that he's going to crash the economy. A guy who's bankrupted himself 6 times. His dad gave him over $400 million. He squandered his whole life. Is totally incompetent. Couldn't manage his way out of a wet paper bag. That guy's going to ruin the economy one way or another. Everybody who watches the Young Turks heard me say that from day one. It turns out you get a twofer here, and it's a disastrous twofer. Destroys our health and the economy at the same time because he's a bumbling fool. And they can cover it up and they can blame other people and they can do their propaganda like they always will. And the journalists, maybe they'll call it even for the rest of the time, to the great frustration of us and the truth. But at the end of the day, if he sends people back out there before we have had a chance to bring down the virus, the number of cases, God help us all, and the economy. It'll start all over again, and we'll have to go through several more vicious cycles. And by the way, one last thing about it, guys. It's not just the number of people who die. It's the number of people who go to the hospital at the same time. That's why it's important to space it out. If you don't, what they call flattening the curve, if you don't do that, then what happens is all the cases spike at once. Then the people who are going to the hospital for other reasons can't get treatment either, and then they start dying from the other ailments because we have no hospital beds for them. It's already happening in New York City. They're turning Jacob Javits Center into a hospital, a makeshift hospital. They're going to have 8 makeshift hospitals that they're going to try to put up overnight. You think people aren't going to die because they're in a makeshift hospital? Of course they are. A certain percentage are. So these are all of the horrendous things that are going to come out of this unless, there is no unless. If Trump tells his cult to go and go back out in the streets and go to work, they'll listen to him. They won't listen to any scientists, any doctors. They're just not that bright, and they've been brainwashed almost completely. So we're going to have those zombies walking amongst us. Oh, boy. All right, so that's where things stand now. I don't know if anyone can talk sense into Donald Trump. Maybe Tucker Carlson can have a scientist on. I mean, that's our best hope. Look at how pathetic this is. And so that's the current state of affairs. Tomorrow, 6 o'clock Eastern, live show, me and Anna, tyt.com/live. If you're watching on YouTube, you can watch it right here on youtube.com/tyt, of course. And if you're a member, you can get it anytime you want. It's either tyt.com/join, or right underneath this video, there's a join button if you're watching on YouTube. And that one will get you membership. There's 3 different layers. I see a member commented just a minute ago. When you're a member, I can see your comments more clearly. That's $1.99. $4.99, you get all of our extra coverage on a regular show. Like today, we did an extra half hour that all the $4.99 level folks get. $9.99, you get all of our shows completely, including things like Living While Black and other episodes that we have on our website that you might not be able to access. Okay, stay safe, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow.